dark side is compelling me once again to look at Star Wars Sith lore. So, this specific branch of lore is not only gonna be covering every single Sith Lord, okay? Again, I've only seen, like, the Star Wars movies, like the 6. The only 6 Star Wars movies that exist. Those are the ones I've watched. There aren't any other Star Wars movies to watch. There are only 6 of them. So, I have seen those 6, but I haven't seen any other Star Wars content. So, we are about to do a deep dive into all of the Sith Lords, how strong they are, ranked weakest to strongest by Seth the Programmer. I have history with Seth the Programmer. And we're not gonna talk about that right now. Man makes good content ultimately. So let's jump right into it, baby. All right, let's see what we got here. Every Sith. This was just incredibly requested to me. This is what they call the power of one, the power of two, the power of many.
The Sith have had many
Shut up!
Sorry. And overpowered members over the years, and to be quite honest, there's not a single one that is weak in any real way.
Damn, honestly, true. All the Sith are kind of fucking strong. I mean, but to be fair, if you'd ever have a weak antagonist, the story would suck. So obviously, all the Sith are going to be broken. Just from what I've seen so far, from my little lore dives here and there, as you know, I am covering Star Wars lore intensely now because the Acolyte and Disney is just butchering it. So I have been on the actual quest to uncover all of Star Wars lore. 50% of my channel right now is just lore dives into various properties and stories because I love stories. So as far as what I saw, I thought for sure Darth Vader would sweep. I thought for sure he was, you know, the chosen one, took over the galaxy and stuff. I thought for sure Darth Vader would be like #1 on the list. I really don't think so anymore. I can't see Darth Vader beating Darth Revan. Revan literally blew my expectations out of the water. So I don't know what to expect here. Let's see what we got.
You have to imagine these are the main antagonists of pretty much the whole Star Wars franchise.
True.
And they just kind of annihilate and go beast mode on literally everybody the entire story.
I mean, ultimately, that is the that, ladies and gentlemen, is a villain. And every time I see some, like, cool flips and, like, awesome choreography and some epic bad guys, you know what my penis does? Does one thing.
Long and hard.
Well, that's 2 things, but you get my idea.
Until pretty much the end of whatever arc they're a part of. That being said, there's not a single one you can reference as an anti-feat.
Wait, is that Darth Bane? When did they animate Darth Bane? I only know Darth Bane because I already did my lore dive on the entire Star Wars timeline, which, again, it's on my channel. I've already done lore dives on the Star Wars timeline, on the Old Republic, and all this shit. So, dude showed up in Clone Wars? I thought he was, like, long dead. He started the whole Rule of 2 shtick.
Or a weakling among them. An example, when you refer to someone being downplayed like, oh, Revan is only downplayed to be Maul level, it just...
Revan? Downplayed to be Maul level? Okay, actually, I take it all back. I think that the actual strongest Sith has to be that, the Emperor guy, right? The Sith Emperor that actually beat Revan. That guy's probably, like, overpowered as shit. Vitiate? I don't know. I did my, my Old Republic lore dive, so that's where I know him from, but he seems way overpowered.
It doesn't work because even Maul is an absolute beast, and
really? Maul? I mean, like, Obi-Wan kind of killed him one-on-one. I mean, Obi-Wan's not bad, but he lost to Dooku. So, that makes Dooku substantially stronger than Maul. I don't know.
There are many others that people consider lower on the list. That being said, we're going to take a similar approach that I did in my Saiyan ranking video, which I heavily recommend if you like Dragon Ball, by the way.
Let me know if you want me to actually do Dragon Ball power scaling lore, because I've been, like, dancing around doing that for a long time.
And by that, I mean we will be ranking the Sith in general categories or tiers.
All right!
As Star Wars scaling is very, very contentious. In fact, I'd argue it's the most nerdily debated about thing besides Goku versus debates.
Yeah, true. Aside from Goku, Star Wars is everywhere when it comes to power scaling debates. All right, dude, I'm just dipping my toe in here, but I'm just saying my boy Yog-Sothoth from Lovecraft lore would absolutely annihilate Goku. So shut up, Dragon Ball fans.
You'll see forums of people arguing about the same thing for almost a decade straight, writing mini novels back and forth about why this strongest Sith statement is above the other.
I don't know. Again, if anyone beats Vitiate, I'm calling hacks. That guy beat Revan. He beat Revan. Revan and, oh, dude, what's Revan's friend? The guy who's not good at sucking dick because his bottom jaw was chopped off. That guy, Revan and his boy, those Malak. He beat both of those at the same time and brainwashed them. Like, how on earth are you going to scale anyone higher than Vitiate?
It's pretty complicated, so I just want to forewarn, By putting someone low on the list, I am by no means disrespecting them because I think every Sith is an absolute savage.
I love how every YouTuber on the planet feels the need to do this when they make a video. It's like, I'm just letting you know, even the thing in last place is still not bad, okay? It's just less good, but it's not bad. Everyone has to do that because no matter what goes in last place, you always get shit. Like, you'll make top 10 anime of all time. You know, there's thousands of anime. So the top 10 has to be good. And you're like, in 10th place, Hunter x Hunter. And everyone's like, wow, I can't believe you hate Hunter x Hunter. These people are morons.
Also, I need to clarify that a Sith isn't just some dark-cloaked guy with a red lightsaber.
That's Dark Nihilus. That's another one that everyone told me to do a specific lore dive into Dark Nihilus. I did Darth Revan's lore dive, and that was totally worth it. That guy's goated. This was probably the second most requested Sith.
Such as the Inquisitors. Sith are a very particular set of individuals that have reached certain phases of development and recognition. At the end of the day, a Sith is a part of a religion, not just someone who uses the dark side.
Okay. Interesting. I didn't know that. Okay, cool.
Asajj, Dooku's apprentice, isn't a Sith because of the rule of 2, which only allows 2 Sith at a time. She's just a dark side assassin with a cool lightsaber.
Dude, that is so dope. I love that he's actually getting into the lore here. That's interesting. I wonder what the difference is between dark side and Sith. Because rule of 2, that's it? That's the only reason why they didn't actually recruit her to the Sith?
This video will be using Legends canon, not Disney canon.
What is Disney canon? Disney never touched Star Wars. Yes, I am gaslighting myself. Yes, it's a problem that I have. Yes, I will always be doing this for eternity. Disney has never made anything Star Wars based. There are 6 Star Wars movies, and there's been no Star Wars content since the Clone Wars. Okay, there is no such thing as Disney Star Wars content. I've heard of Disney, but only in regards to Mickey Mouse. Okay.
Post 2014, so no Kylo Ren.
Is that an actual scene that happened in the fucking Disney shit? People told me they're making a new Spaceballs, and I said, why do you need a Star Wars parody? You already have Disney doing a Star Wars parody.
If you want a basic idea of what I think Kylo Ren or Snoke are capable of, and etc., you can watch my Darth Vader versus Kylo Ren video in the description.
All right.
With that out of the way, we can get started.
All right, let's go, baby.
Starting with Class N, we have the Sith Triumvirate.
Class N? Okay.
From Knights of the Old Republic 2, which is a group of 3 Sith named Traya, Sion, and Nihilus.
Nihilus is the lowest on this list? The lowest on this, beneath Darth Maul. That's where Nihilus is? Everyone was telling me I had to look into Nihilus lore and I would lose my shit.
One thing I would like to clarify is that video game Sith are rather bizarre, as they can be either absurdly powerful on the pecking order or extremely weak depending on your interpretation. Due to this, I'll be presenting both sides of the argument for the video game Sith in particular.
God, dude, this is so cool.
So don't jump the gun and get mad about Nihilus's placement quite yet. We'll talk about how you can throw hands higher on the list in just a second.
Okay.
The pecking order for the trio of Sith, though, at least by the end of Knights of the Old Republic 2, should see the restored Traya as stronger than Sion, seeing as she was able to force choke him while he had his saber drawn, prepared to kill his
Okay, yeah, well, that's easy scaling. Yeah, bro, she cooked him.
former master, with Traya stating around the same time that the power that Nihilus possessed was in a whole other realm above her own.
All right, well, that's pretty easy ranking for the 3
Now,
of them.
why that exactly places these 3 in their respective class is a statement made by both Traya herself, as well as the Knights of the Old Republic 2 game director and writer, Chris Avellone, where it is stated that Nihilus at the end of his power progression seen in-game was weaker than the ancient Sith Lords, with Naga Sadow being explicitly name-dropped here. However, it should be mentioned that Traya imagined Nihilus to potentially become a threat to the entire galaxy and all life therein via his trademark prowess over Force Drain.
Okay, all right, pretty crazy. I gotta do Nihilus lore at some point.
This leads into a larger point, with even Chris Avellone stating that when it comes to a matchup such as Nihilus versus Naga Sadow, it's more than a matter of raw power. So considering Nihilus's ability to drain the life from entire planets rather than his battle power...
This is a force power? This life-draining shit is like an actual force ability? That's scary. We've never seen anything like that anywhere, and I could remember in Star Wars. Actual life draining, that's his specialty. Well, maybe he'd lose in a lightsaber fight, but like, dude, he's sucking the life out of a planet.
per se with a lightsaber, as showcased in the events of Knights of the Old Republic 2, he could be placed much higher, as shown later in the video, and we'll go over who Nihilus in particular.
There are a lot of unique force powers. Should I do a lore dive into all the different force powers? I feel like I could do that too at some point. I don't know. There's just so much. There is so much when it comes to Star Wars. And like, the community's actually starving looking at what Disney's been pushing out.
Can defeat with his more special force abilities, despite his weirdly low battle power.
Okay, alright. I respect that. He's just so much more in touch with the Force in this one specific area that he could do his life suck. Even though in single combat, he'd probably get cooked by a lot of other guys. He's still an absolute threat to the galaxy.
Class M, we have Naga Sadow and Ludo Kresh. Sadow would naturally be placed above Nihilus in raw power as already presented, with Ludo Kresh being relative to but likely just being below Sadow, since Kresh was the only one of the two to have their blood spilled during their intense sword fight, implying Naga was stronger or a better duelist.
This is the original Sith race, right? The Sith species are these red guys with the drooping eyelids and shit.
Than him.
Right?
Something to note is that the Sith Emperor Vitiate at one time feared the spirits of the ancient Sith, with Sadow being named explicitly to be a threat to his power.
So Sadow was known as... These were the first Sith. These two guys. Okay, alright.
However, this is A, an early/weaker variant of Vitiate, and B, the statement refers to multiple Sith spirits being a threat to his power.
Okay.
So it ultimately becomes very muddy and hard to quantify how this statement affects the scaling chain.
Dude, I have to see where he puts Vitiate. Oh god, I kind of want to just do a spoiler right now and skip to the end to see where Vitiate is, but I know you're gonna kill me if I do. I know you're gonna murder me
if you take it to the utmost, then obviously the ancient Sith spirits would be a bit higher on the list, which I'll let you guys decide for yourselves.
Alright.
With that being said, we arrive at Class L, populated by Marco Ragnos, Friedan Nad, and Karness Mur.
I don't know any of these guys. Holy shit, there are a lot of Sith.
Not much is known about Ragnos' power while he was alive, however this Sith spirit is implied to be stronger than either of those found in Class M, with Ludo claiming that Ragnos would crush Naga Sadow in an altercation.
Dude, there is so much Star Wars lore. There are so many stories and so many characters. And we have the Acolyte, that they adapted power of one, power of two, power of many. Okay? It's not like they're starving for content and ideas. It's just maddeningly annoying that this is going on. Sorry. I hate to get maddeningly annoyed, but this is artistic vandalism. They are vandalizing the Star Wars property. For what?
Friedan Nad was as well stated in the fact file number 90 to have become far more powerful than Sadow as well. Karness Mur is more so a Hax-based fighter or character like Nihilus, seeing as his spirit would simply adopt the power of whoever he can control via his Mur talisman. But to place his actual respective power, he has been compared to Ragnos and Friedan Nad, being stated to be a powerful Sith Lord in the same vein as the two noted regardless of his reliance on special and weird abilities. In Class K, we see Exar Kun and Ulic Qel-Droma.
Again, don't know these guys at all. Never heard of any of them. This just goes to show how many stories there actually are.
Exar, with his Sith amulet, was able to completely obliterate the spirit of Friedan Nad. Seeing as this amulet is standard equipment, it should be valid to consider this his practical combat strength.
Damn.
Ulic then faces Exar Kun in battle for hours on end, with neither opponent gaining an advantage over the other one, with the spirits of old crowning Exar as the Dark Lord, and Ulic claiming apprenticeship under him. Considering this alongside the statement from the Complete Encyclopedia calling Exar the most powerful Sith of all time.
Damn, that's a major statement. Once the most powerful and dangerous of the Dark... Once the most dangerous and powerful and dangerous Lords of the Sith. He was responsible for the deaths of millions 4 millennia before the rise of the Empire, killed by an overwhelming force of Jedi. Yo, they needed to send an army of Jedi to kill this guy. Shit, that's crazy. The dark spirit of Exar Kun survived across the vastness of time to challenge Luke Skywalker and a new group of Jedi trainees. Kun was tortured in the ways of the Force. Alright, so he was once the most powerful and dangerous of the Sith.
And trust me, there's a few of those. He would be above Ulic. In all honesty, though, they should probably be pretty interchangeable in terms of strength.
He probably had the most pure dark side prowess out of all. Shit, dude.
There's an argument for at least a version of Exar Kun to be placed much higher, considering one's interpretation, which will be noted further along in the video. But as for now, if you think Exar is a lot stronger, hold your horses, because we will be going over the Exar stronger argument when that comes.
Dude, we need to do a lore dive into every single Sith, like their entire stories, because this guy seems badass from the few panels of comic that I've seen.
We now reach Class J, featuring Darth Malak and Darth Revan.
Revan's all the way down here? Bro was literally too angry to die. He willed himself back to life. He was someone so overpowered that he wiped out the Mandalorians. He went to Vitiate. He became a Sith. He was so strong, he was wiping out the Jedi Order that the Jedi had to brainwash him into becoming a Jedi again. And then he gets killed and wills himself back to life. Oh my God. Really? He's down here in Class J? Oh my God, what is even happening?
Again, keep in mind that I'm only taking into consideration these characters scaling while they fit at least a somewhat standard definition of a Sith Lord. Seeing as Revan is a fairly anomalous character, that would be especially important to note. With that in mind, Darth Revan should be fairly above Exar Kun, with the new Knights of the Old Republic remake trailer stating he is the greatest Sith in generations, with Exar only having died 2 years before Revan's birth.
Well, that's a pretty good statement, yep. Dude, this guy's crazy. Nah, but also he was a good tactician, right? When he was beating up the Jedi, he did it through good tactics. That they specifically mentioned that
For those
in the Revan lore dive, which is something that I did because I will consume all lore that ever existed. If there's lore, I will eat it.
Was wondering, it has been all but stated that the Knights of the Old Republic remake will be set in the Legends timeline by members of the current Star Wars continuity team. Malak should as well be placed in this class for giving Revan a desperate fight.
Yeah, but Revan won. True, but Revan kicked his ass. Bro chopped his jaw off.
He did lose pretty badly, however, with Revan slicing his jaw off.
Yeah! God, dude, these characters are so cool.
There is a statement from the Wizards of the Coast website that Malak was far more powerful than Exar Kun. It is questionable, however, if this would apply to base Malak, seeing as the article itself implies he is at his current level of power through the Starge 4 super weapon, which is basically a bunch of Jedi amping him. Either way, Malak was in control of the Starforge while he was the reigning Sith Lord, so either way, these two should be above the likes of those in Class K.
I'm with you, I'm
Revan
following.
and Malak are characters, like I said earlier, that are those interchangeable Sith video game types that can be much higher based on interpretation, especially considering
He's so cool. What a cool fucking armor, too.
Statements we'll go into soon.
Yeah, honestly, he's probably my favorite character in Star Wars lore right now. Just from, like, the really brief, just from my lore dive so far, this guy's probably my favorite character in Star Wars lore.
So I'll go over how high they can be with those interpretations as the time arises. Another thing about Revan specifically is that when he becomes a Jedi again, he's actually much more powerful, which makes his placement even harder to exactly quantify.
Wait, are you serious? Wait, you're classifying him only as strong as he was when he was a Sith, not when he became a Jedi again and got way stronger? Aw, man, that's not fair. You gotta count him at his strongest. He was a Sith, so he fits the list, and you count him as his strongest. That's how I would do it.
Since we aren't considering his Jedi progress or amps after he was the Dark Lord. With Class I, things become very subjective, seeing as the characters...
Yeah, but by the end of the series, that guy gets so busted. Like, when he's at his strongest, it's after he gets killed, wills himself back to life. That's when he's at his strongest. And then he's technically not a Sith or a Jedi. He's just kind of a guy with a vendetta against the Sith Emperor, right? Like, literally the coolest character, like, ever. Holy shit, sit down, Guts. This guy, Grey Jedi, they call him.
Here originate from the Star Wars The Old Republic MMO, a game with many different campaigns and dialogue options, all determined by player choice. Those characters being the Emperor's Wrath, Darth Nox, and Darth Malgus.
Darth Malgus is fucking broken. Man just strolls into the Jedi Temple with a kamikaze fleet behind him and just cooks all of the Jedi Masters. That guy is overpowered as shit.
What can be said for both Wrath and Nox is that either of them can achieve the title of Outlander. The Outlander is stated to be Vitiate's, at the time, greatest opponent. This would, of course, indirectly or directly scale him above Revan, who, during his novel, was shown for the first time channeling both sides of the Force and should be at its strongest up until then, scaling the Outlander above Class J. The fact that the Outlander
Alright, I respect that.
is considered Vishit's greatest opponent.
Yeah, if Vishit has a greatest opponent, then that guy's automatically probably on a tier higher than Revan. That makes sense, because Vishit stomped Revan. I know that wasn't at Revan's strongest, but bro is overpowered as hell.
And Revan is one of Vishit's opponent, yet not the Outlander, would put these said Outlanders as stronger than him more than likely, which is why they're a class above. Malgus is shown being able to harm the Outlander with Force Lightning and Force Push, scaling to either Wrath or to Nox. This is, however, only considering Malgus' scaling as of now, and he could prove more powerful as the Star Wars The Old Republic content comes.
Dude, Malgus is so scary. I just remember that one scene in The Old Republic where Malgus butchers like a whole army of Jedi. Dude, honestly, let me see if I can pull that up. Like, dude, it just honestly frightening. So here you have Malgus, right?
Confiance pour diriger la République.
Why is it French? Why would they make it French? Oh God! Dude, look at this. Look at him cooking Jedi. Okay, I don't care about French Malgus. Okay, fuck you, French Malgus. But also, ah, killed the Jedi. Dude, look at him fighting like multiple Jedi at the same time. Bonjour, motherfucker. Dude, did you see that combo? All right, anyway, I'll skip a couple of seconds here just so you get the gist. This guy is the Jedi Master at this point. He, I believe, is the strongest Jedi in the temple. Cooked!
Vous avez été trahi.
Oh, fuck it. He ruins it with French. Anyway, not the point. Bro actually Mortal Kombats his enemies.
Comes out and updates him. In Class H, we have the infamous Darth Bane.
Alright, I knew he was going to be up there. I can't believe he's in Class H. How are we only a third way through the list right now?
Someone heavily implied to be the Sith'ari, the Sith answer to the Jedi Chosen One prophecy.
What? I didn't know that was a thing! I know the Jedi myth of Mortis, of a chosen one who will destroy the dark side and bring balance to the Force. The Sith have their own prophecy. Since the time of King Adas, they have foretold the coming of a perfect being, the Sith'ari. The avatar around my neck translates the term as Overlord. Yet, it is more accurate to consider the Sith'ari a god, as the Sith purebloods believe. While some among the Key Sith priests deem that the prophecy began and ended with Adas, many more await the Sith'ari's return. This is actually the anti-Jedi prophecy. That is so cool. That's pretty badass. I didn't even know that there was an anti-Jedi prophecy. Remember how at the end of the final Star Wars movie where Darth Vader actually becomes the Sith prophecy and throws Sidious into the fucking nuclear reactor, kills Sidious, where Sidious never returns ever again after that. He stays dead. He just stays dead forever, as he should. And then after Darth Vader died, that technically was the destruction of the dark side. Isn't it like a really cool idea that they throw it on its head that Darth Vader actually does fulfill the prophecy by wiping out the dark side at the end, and there are no Sith after that ever? No Sith ever show up after that at all in the timeline? Wasn't that awesome when that happened and it never happened and Palpatine stayed dead? That was such a cool way to end the idea. Yeah, that was awesome. I love how that happened.
Darth Bane would live up to the hype, seeing as he was stated to have garnered a greater mastery of Sith power and knowledge than anyone who had come before him in the Fact File remake number.
Dude, Darth Bane is so cool. The idea that he institutes the rule of two after this is so sick. I also especially like where Bane said, "I was born in the dark. I've molded it." And then he cracked Luke Skywalker's spine on his knee. That was so sick.
22. It should be said that this fact file was released after the Legends Disney canon distinction. However, the creators of the
there's no such thing. There's no such thing as the Disney canon.
Magazine stated that these early issues were written at a time when Legends was still canon and had to pretty much rework many subsequent issues up to a certain point to accommodate the retcon. This statement would place Bane above anyone preceding him who would fall into what a Sith was defined to up to that point.
Honestly, that makes a lot of sense. Darth Bane was the strongest Sith that started the rule of two. So everyone before him, meaning the Legends timeline, like even people like Darth Revan and stuff, were not as strong as him. I get that.
There is some contention with this, however, as when he initially discovered the holocron of Darth Revan, Bane believed the rituals described to have been performed by the ancient Sith was too dangerous to attempt.
Well, that just means Revan's stronger than Bane!
However, this was a novice Bane, and not when he's in his peak.
Oh, that'll explain it, yep.
With this discovery taking place in the first novel of his trilogy. So coupled with the fact file statement, it would just mean that Bane was intimidated at first by the ancient Sith, but eventually got the hang of it over his decades of training and studies, and surpassed his predecessor.
That makes sense. I like that. I'm cool with Darth Bane being stronger than Darth Revan. Honestly, this just makes sense. I didn't think that Malgus was stronger, but I believe this man. Seth does his research.
Darth Bane would also create the Rule of Two, which is basically an order to keep the dark side energy in the galaxy focused in 2 individuals at a time. Whereas when there were numerous Sith in the galaxy, it somewhat diluted this focus and power.
That makes sense. I guess that does definitely make a lot of sense. The idea that the Rule of Two was to increase the concentration of dark side energy in the future Sith. So it does make sense that Sith after the Rule of Two were, like, much stronger than the ones before. Especially because you have to realize something very, very important, and it's the idea that the Sith were the main enemy of the Jedi forever. They were the main enemy of the Jedi when there's billions of Sith, and they're the main enemy of the Jedi when there's 2 Sith. Okay? That's why Sith weren't as hard to body in the Old Republic cinematic stuff. Because you'd have like 10 Sith versus 10 Jedi, and they'd all be relatively equivalent. Whereas now, you don't have your average Jedi taking on a Sith. It makes sense that after Darth Bane, the Sith are on another level. So this makes a lot of sense in like the overall Star Wars lore to rank them this way.
The other mechanic behind the Rule of Two is for masters and apprentices to grow stronger and stronger every generation until they could crush the Jedi Order.
That's why they kill each other. God, Darth Bane is so cool. Like, the Rule of Two, when I first heard the Rule of Two, I thought, wow, this is really stupid. You are limiting your fighting force to 2 people. But then when you really think about what that means, it changes it a little bit. It means these 2 people are also incredibly strong. And it also means that they're getting stronger and stronger. Because they have this whole idea that you kill your master when you overpower him, right? Like, the master has all the power, and then the apprentice surpasses the master, kills the master. Betrayal is the way of the Sith. Obtains more dark side energy, gets an apprentice that could kill him. Slowly but surely, the Rule of Two implies that you are doing some whole crazy euthanasia tactic in order to eventually get a Sith strong enough to wipe out the Jedi. It's such a fucked up philosophy, but it's also so interesting as well. It's something very unique to Star Wars specifically. You know, bad guys trying their best to keep their forces thin is so fascinating, and something that I feel like a good writer could have competently captured in a story. I know, crazy. There will never be another Order 66 as long as Disney has their hand on Star Wars.
In Class G, we have the Sith who immediately succeeds Bane in the Rule of Two, that being Darth Zana and Darth Cognis.
Are you saying that there's a strong female character in Star Wars lore? Are you saying that they didn't need to come up with bullshit excuses as to why Star Wars lore hates women, and there were actually strong Sith Star Wars women? That's crazy.
It's been stated in numerous sources that each generation of Sith, following the line established by Bane, grew in power.
Honestly, this is so good on a power scaling chart. And it also just makes so much sense. Obviously, that's how they did this. I'm willing to bet my month's salary that Disney didn't even know about these 2 Sith. Yeah, probably not.
It was also noted by Sidious that Bane's actual power was directly transferred from person to person via the Rule of Two.
Oh, shit! They actually absorb each other's Sith powers. They absorb the dark side energies from one generation to the next. That's why inevitably they'll crush the Jedi. Because ultimately, someone will just have too much power to contain. Darth Bane sacrificed his entire race of Sith, for the promise that come tens of thousands of years later, they'll wipe out the Jedi. And he was willing to sacrifice everything for that. That is such a fucking baller-ass plot. Holy shit.
meaning every
That's why Darth Sidious could 1v3 literally the strongest Jedi Masters. I mean, Windu still beat him, so.
Sith after Bane in his lineage would be stronger than Bane and stronger than their predecessors as the millennia passes until we eventually reach Sidious. Where
Makes sense. I wonder where Vitiate is, though. Vitiate somehow wasn't here yet, I'm noticing.
it becomes debatable is when we factor in Bane's internal scaling. See, Bane was, for a large chunk of his life, plagued with an infection known as the Orbalisk infection, which was stated to both empower his force abilities as well as degrade his physical strength, before removing the infection that had left his physical body worse for wear. So is the Mastery of Sith power statement only relevant to Bane pre-Orbalisk? When comparing Orbalisk,
I would assume so, right? It's dark side power. It's not extra hacks that he had to enhance his dark side power. I suppose that makes sense.
Bane against post-Orbalisk removal self, I think it's fair to place his peak at taking place during the later stages of his life. This being based on the fact that in his final fight with his apprentice, Xana, he was stated to be moving faster than she thought possible.
Shit, that's so sick.
Top of Bane attacking her with greater force than he had when he was prior empowered by his Orbalisk Rage Amp. So, Bane would have likely gotten stronger after removing the Orbalisk through years of studying Sith knowledge, therefore they would all surpass this Bane, at least in the rule of 2.
Dude, everyone in chat is going crazy right now. Since chat's not on screen, my YouTube audience isn't aware. Going crazy on Windu power scaling. Like how Windu used dark side power to beat his opponent and cheated to win somehow. I will do Windu lore, don't worry, we'll get there, That
same power in Bane would then be granted to Darth Xana, Bane's apprentice, who ultimately defeated her master.
Damn, that's crazy. And it does make sense that it'll keep going passed down line to line, stronger and stronger and stronger. The nucleus of power level that is passed on from Sith to Sith just keeps enhancing.
With Darth Cognis being Xana's successor and about 30 other no-name Sith until we get up to Class F.
Wait, who's Darth Plagueis the Wise? He has to show up at some point.
With Darth Tenebrous.
Okay, I never heard of him.
Who would naturally scale above the likes of Xana and Cognis, per the rule of 2, being 2 spots removed from the last of Bane's successors. In Class E, we have Darth Maul at his peak during the Clone Wars.
Darth Maul! I can't believe he comes back during the Clone Wars! I remember seeing this when I was doing a different lore dive. How did he survive getting chopped in half?
Alongside his brother, Savage.
He has a brother? Okay, I did the timeline, and when I did the timeline lore dive, they said Darth Maul was here. I don't know how he gets here, but I guess...
It was stated in the Ultimate Duels guidebook that Darth Maul's battle on Tatooine was proof that the Sith were deadlier than ever. This should place his power above the likes of Tenebrous, a Sith who had come before him.
That does make sense, in fact. Yeah,
Keep in mind that this was an injured Maul, who then grows...
He was injured? Maul was injured in the fight on Tatooine?
Stronger until his peak in Clone Wars Season 5. Maul also has some pretty crazy hype for his time, being...
Dude, I thought Maul was like a joke of a Sith when I watched the movies. Like, he lost one-on-one to Obi-Wan. I couldn't believe that. Is Obi-Wan like that OP?
Stated to be one of the deadliest Sith in the history of the entire Order. Could beat nearly anyone in unarmed combat, more lethal in battle than the most powerful Jedi, and generally just far more impressive accolades than Tenebrous.
I cannot believe it! That's crazy. I guess Obi-Wan's cracked. I guess that's the moral here. Obi-Wan must be broken as shit. I mean, he did beat Anakin, right? When Anakin was Vader, so I guess he's strong. Sheesh, I didn't know Darth Maul was this strong.
Savage would as well scale to these statements, seeing as Dooku notes that with training, Savage would rival the Phantom Menace Maul, with a stronger Maul than stated to complete Savage's training.
Okay, I have to finish the Clone Wars, I guess. You guys really liked my first Clone Wars video. I guess I'm gonna have to keep doing Clone Wars stuff, because I have to see how this plays in.
With Dooku then sensing Savage's growing powers. In Class D, we have Darth Plagueis, and
there he is, Darth Plagueis the Wise. Wait, how is Darth Plagueis stronger than Maul? If Maul came after Plagueis died. Oh, because Sidious had all the Darth Plagueis power at that point. All right, that makes sense.
Count Dooku. Plagueis
and Dooku? She's putting them on the same tier. I guess.
At first goes from considering the ancient Sith, such as Exar Kun, as being far more powerful, to then seeing himself as a peerless Sith throughout all of history, which is backed up by statements found in his novel acknowledging many prior Sith by name. Which places him above Class E is a statement made by Maul during the Clone Wars, which I'll get into soon.
Okay.
Sidious during the Phantom Menace would be relative to Plagueis, who is Sidious's original master, seeing as the author of the Plagueis novel implied that he could possibly undermine Sidious in a duel.
Whoa. I thought Plagueis was like much more scientisty, like trying to use Force shit to find a way to immaculately conceive the Chosen One type shit. I didn't realize he was that strong in a fight as well. But I guess if we're using this rule of two idea concept that each one gains the power of the last one as well, with this in strengthening the nucleus of Darkseid, I guess it makes sense that Sidious is stronger than him. I can't believe Dooku is on the same tier though. Like Dooku's strong, don't get me wrong, but like, wow.
Undermine someone would typically mean harming them via secrecy, so it's hard to say what this exactly means.
Guys, do you know why the Sith are so strong? Because the power of one, the power of two, the power of many.
However, based on the context, with this being a saber duel, it's likely it would have been something that would at least scale to Sidious. Also, one has to remember that Sidious went out of his way to get his master drunk before trying to take his life.
Wow, Sidious, why would you do that? I thought the whole idea was for you to become stronger than the previous Sith to actually beat him in a fight, so that if you beat him in a fight, you can actually absorb his power and it's worthy because the Sith is getting stronger. But Sidious was such a prideful bitch that he got him drunk first? Dude, massive Sidious L. Oh my god. He will never outlive this. He will never outlive this. Probably because he died at the end of after Vader threw him into the reactor shit, and then he died and he never came back. Unexpectedly, he did not return. See, I would have thought that Disney would have been a bitch and brought him back like for the IP, but even Disney wouldn't do something like that. They would not disrespect the finale of the beloved Star Wars. Oh god, I'm so happy that he never returned.
Rather than
I'm so happy that he stayed dead. You know, him staying dead is probably the best thing. Like, they say Disney has no integrity, but at least they kept Darth Sidious dead, you know? At least he stayed dead and never came back. If he would have come back, then I'd be throwing hands. But he stayed dead. All right, anyway.
just confronting him head on. With this scaling in mind, Maul noted that this same Sidious was stronger than anyone else he had ever encountered, such as Mother Talzin.
Mother Talzin? Really? That's gonna be...
Someone who could do battle against a Clone War era Darth Sidious, a Sith who could, whenever he wanted, ragdoll both Maul and Savage.
Holy shit, Sidious was broken. Wow. Okay, I don't know Mother Talzin, but okay. Head of the Night Sisters? Dude, I have to do, I have to finish Clone Wars. I decided already I'm gonna probably try to cover as much of the Clone Wars canon as I can. So we'll see how that goes.
Count Dooku would as well fall into this tier of power.
All right, explain to me how Dooku is on the tier of Plagueis.
Seeing as well fatigue.
Well, I mean, he beat... Oh, well, the super obvious, easy peasy schmeezy way to scale him this high is he beat Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan beat Maul. Basic shit.
He was able to donate more energy to a Talzin Sidious force clash than the Darth Maul seen in Class E. This is the same class that Nihilus would likely fall into considering his hacks abilities, with top-tier prequel-era Jedi Mace Windu remarking that if Anakin couldn't learn the ability to resist planet-wide force drain that Nihilus had, the entire Republic would be doomed.
That's a statement and a half. That's how dangerous Plagueis actually probably was. Nihilus. Nihilus force-drained planets.
Meaning Nihilus could be placed all over this list, as it really comes down to who can resist his hacks. And if
so in a lightsaber duel, it's true. All these Sith that we mentioned, you got your Dookus and your Plagueis and your Maul and your Revan and all these guys, they would kick his ass in a fight. He just happened to have a hacks ability that he could soul drain planets. God damn, holy shit. I'm starting to see why you really wanted me to do a specific Nihilus lore dive.
If they can't, then Nihilus wins by default most of the time.
It's true. It's like, why isn't Nihilus showing up to the duel? Then he just sucks all the life force out of the entire planet. He just hacks, kills you.
In Mace Windu's own words, may have been able to end the Republic if he was the one that was attacking it.
God damn, that is terrifying. See, all the Jedi and the Order just, like, start coughing. Nihilus from some planet far, far away just sucks your soul out.
Which is why it's hard to place him so concretely. The reason Plagueis is not on the same tier as Sidious later is that Sidious, of course, gets stronger over the years.
That's true. He beat him, and then he got way more powerful, right?
So Plagueis scaling to a weaker Sidious would not place him on the same tier.
Makes sense.
As Sidious in his prime.
However, we can't ever have any concrete proof as to why Dooku and Plagueis, who is stronger between the two of them. They just didn't fight the same people.
Or Sidious at his peak.
All right.
In Class C, we have Starkiller.
Who? Bro, just came out of nowhere and became one of the strongest Sith?
While his best feats are during a time when he wasn't a Sith apprentice, do you think I'd really make a Sith video without this guy?
Who?
Even though he's not a Sith, I'm just doing this one for fan service. Starkiller was able to defeat Darth Vader 1 year before the Battle of Yavin.
What? Darth Vader's secret apprentice? I don't even know this guy. Where'd he come from?
Or the event of A New Hope. This places Starkiller above Class D, seeing as Vader as early as a year after Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, Vader was stronger than Dooku. Vader beat Dooku at one of... Nux, have you no shame? Forgive me, I am doing the Star Wars lore dive. You cannot judge me based on now. Judge me on my final power level, okay? This is like judging Anakin when he was pod racing for power scaling, okay? This is not fair. Video game character, Force Unleashed video games. I'm gonna do a Force Unleashed lore dive, okay? Haters. Sorry. Sorry, I just got a little worked up there.
Was stated to be far more powerful than someone who was stated to be able to outclass Mace Windu all across the board and was directly compared to Yoda's level of power. Both Mace and Yoda.
Yeah, Mace Windu, God, we gotta do a Jedi power scaling after this. 10,000 likes and I'll do his Jedi power scaling video.
Yoda are able to face Sidious in Revenge of the Sith. However, after the time skip, Sidious would be a lot stronger. Even then though, Sidious in Revenge of the Sith, while weaker than his time skip self,
he still beat Yoda.
Should be stronger than any Sith before him via the rule of 2.
Yep, that's how it works. That's how it works. Oh, fuck.
Keep in mind, however, that the Vader scene in The Force Unleashed 1 would in no way represent the peak of his power. As well, note that while Starkiller was seen doing battle with Sidious, it didn't seem like it was doing all that much to the Sith Lord, with guides stating that Galen Merrick, also known as Starkiller, was no match for Sidious.
Alright, so that's why Starkiller is here, obviously above Dooku and shit, because he was stronger than Vader at a time where Vader was already stronger than Dooku. So it definitely makes sense to put him above Dooku. However, guy was getting ragdolled by Sidious, so I feel ya.
The Dark Lord tanking a point-blank final explosion containing Starkiller's full power. We could talk about Starkiller's clone, however, he pretty much disassociates with Vader and the Sith almost immediately, so he really isn't in the conversation of most powerful Sith, even kind of being generous and fan-servicey.
Alright.
In Class B, we have Darth Vader.
Wow, so he's not the strongest. Well, I guess he never actually obtained that full Bane power, right? Because he died as he killed Sidious, so never absorbed that full Bane shit.
As represented by his peak of power in Return of the Jedi, Vader is a pretty controversial character to place among certain corners of debate, and it's pretty honestly clear to see why. There seems to be two lanes of thought, the George Lucas camp claiming Vader to be a washed-up, depressed cyborg man with
What are you talking about?
Diminished powers.
Darth Vader was actually severely crippled by Sidious to not overtake him. Dude, Sidious is actually such a crazy villain because he also betrays the entire Sith ideology, you know?
When compared to his Jedi self, or he's a force of nature forged through decades of self-actualization, study, and combat. But seeing as this is a Legends video in the actual material of the EU, Vader is depicted as a beast.
Alright, let's go, dude. I'm excited. I can't believe Sidious is higher than Vader on this list. Well, I guess Vader died. Sidious didn't. Oh, fuck, I hate this thing.
Force Unleashed.
That was a joke. That was obviously a joke.
2 novel.
Actually cheated the rule of 2.
The Starkiller's clones battle is fairly one-sided, with Vader dominating.
Honestly, I think the more I think about Sidious as a villain, the more I'm impressed that he, like, if you actually look at all the Sith lore, it's very likely that Sidious is one of the greatest villains ever written. The idea that he kills Plagueis, not in a duel. He gets him drunk and assassinates him instead of actually dueling him. The idea that he fucks with Vader to not let Vader be stronger than him. He cucks the entire Sith order and the Jedi He's the Sith that beats the Jedi, but he's also the Sith that betrays the Sith's entire mentality. He betrays Darth Bane. What a crazy villain.
The saber duel against this stronger version of Galen Marek, only losing through a combination of being off-guarded and exposed to Force lightning. Something showed to interfere with Vader's life support and thus nerfing him. Without the conflict seen in his battle against Luke Skywalker, which further nerfed him, Vader would reach his apex of power in Return of the Jedi. After losing to a possible dark side amped Luke while he himself was conflicted and—
What do you mean possibly dark side amped Luke? Alright, I don't know, man.
and nerfed, he was able to physically restrain and withstand the full power Force lightning.
True. He was getting zapped, and at the same time, he just picked him up and yoinked him off the cliff.
Of Darth Sidious post-time skip and at his pretty much peak before Dark Empire, despite being particularly weak to lightning as well. With the—
Dude, I didn't even think of that as such a crazy feat, but that's insane. Full power Darth Sidious could not hold him off from yoinking him off the cliff there.
reborn Emperor Palpatine noting that Vader did possess the Force strength necessary to kill him all along. Further proof of Vader and Sidious getting stronger over time is how Vader is able to destroy himself from a few years ago or so due to A, various sources saying Old Ben scales to Vader in New Hope.
What? Old Ben? Nah. Luke almost fell to the dark side when fighting Vader. That's why Sidious was telling him to kill Vader. Shit.
And B, Vader considering Luke in Empire Strikes Back to be above Old Ben and the strongest Jedi, even including Obi-Wan.
Damn. So Luke was really broken. I hear you.
This Luke being someone he dominates easily while probably conflicted and weakened. If you want Vader to be higher, you'd have to utilize the idea that Sidious says that Vader is strong enough to kill him. However, detractors debate what exactly this means, as well as the fact this would only put Vader in a similar category while he is pretty objectively stated to be weaker. Sidious only gets stronger since this statement in Dark Empire as—
What is Dark Empire? What is Star Wars Dark Empire? I've never heard of this. Oh, it's a comic series after, alright, okay. It's a comic series that takes place after the original trilogy. Okay, cool.
as well. Thus, we get—
That is wild. That's wild. So so Luke ended up really becoming one of the strongest Jedi of all time by the end of that series. And, he ended up cooking Vader. So, but somehow Sidious is still not here on the list. And Vitiate neither. I'm just saying, Vitiate the GOAT. Vitiate the GOAT.
to Sidious ranking in Class A.
There he is, Darth Sidious. Piece of shit. How is he so strong? God.
It should be pretty clear.
Yeah.
He's stated numerous times to be the most powerful Sith, if not the most powerful being ever born, period.
Damn.
Through decades of training and preparation, learning the deepest secrets the Force has to offer. He's become close to a genuine Force entity, existing more so as a being of energy rather than flesh. His knowledge of the dark side runs so deep to its very depths that he can devise entirely new techniques on the fly.
Holy shit, man was breaking the lore before Disney. Oh, God!
Harnessing the higher—
Disney is all just a Force hallucination made by Sidious. I'm just gonna say, all the Disney shit, that's just Darth Sidious pulling the biggest genjutsu of all time on everyone.
dimensional energies of hyperspace to threaten the entirety of space. He's a real titan, and could very well be placed higher depending on how far you believe his statements of being the most powerful Sith extend to timeline.
Dude, we gotta see how Mace Windu is so broken.
Wise.
Prime Sidious is overpowered?
Based on certain factors, however, such as Luke Skywalker's power progression eclipsing Sidious in terms of raw power,
Alright.
he may very well stop here, though. Valkorion
Isn't that Vitiate? Is Valkorion and Vitiate two different guys?
would as well likely fit in this class.
God damn. And this is before the Rule of Two.
He would at the very least be far stronger than the likes of the Spirit of Revan, seeing how pretty much everyone in the galaxy is trying to prevent Revan from reviving Vitiate.
Yeah, right, that was the whole thing. So in the Revan lore dive, Revan, he literally willed himself back to life to kill Vitiate. Literally brought himself back to life to kill Vitiate. And it turns out Vitiate was already dead. I assume Vitiate and Valkorion are the same guy. So it turns out Vitiate was dead. So Revan, so fueled by vengeance, went on an entire quest to bring him back to life to kill him again. But this was such a threat, the Sith and Jedi had to work together to stop Revan from reviving Vitiate. Because if he revived Vitiate, Vitiate would literally destroy all of them. How crazy is that? Yeah, all right. Yeah, I figured this guy would be up here.
Knowing they'd all be hopeless if he came back. Valkorion as well has some pretty significant lore that isn't really seen outside of those featured in this tier, being described as a godlike embodiment of the dark side, an accolade he shares with Sidious. Valkorion would as well bypass the Bane supremacy over all Sith before him.
Yeah, because... Yeah. Wait, why? Wait a second. He was before Darth Bane, so it wasn't like you had the Darth Bane rule of two gimmick.
As his motivations and identity fall outside of the Sith religion, even ultimately becoming an enemy of the faction in his later forms.
Yeah, later the Sith and Jedi had to work together to make sure that he wouldn't show up. So I guess since he has power that's out of the dark side, it didn't follow the Bane inheritance gimmick.
Justifying his placement above the rule of two, since he's not a part of it. Narratively, this placement would as well be supported as Vitiate was clearly created as an ancient analog of Sidious, both being Sith Emperors working from the shadows, sending masked, conflicted thralls to do their bidding. Also,
let's not forget that he obliterated Revan and Malak simultaneously. Like, god damn. When I saw that clip, I think that one of the most heart-rending Star Wars moments for me so far in looking into Star Wars lore was how those two kids, the twin brothers, twin Sith or whatever, they were working together, they were fighting, and eventually one of them went to betray Vitiate, got into a fight with his twin brother, they fought each other, he accidentally killed his twin. And then that was the first time Vitiate turns around and gives him his hand and says he's proud of him. When he kills his twin brother. Like man was insanely fucked up.
Exist hush whispers,
like actual Zuko backstories to everyone that touches this man.
Regarding certain statements directly comparing Valkorion to Sidious, but until those are found, the debate isn't likely to end anytime soon. Especially with Sidious possessing statements that he may very well surpass Valkorion if he's Sith or not. As I foreshadowed earlier.
Alright, interesting. Very, very interesting. So I guess you were gonna put Valkorion and Sidious on the same tier. Two emperors, overpowered as shit, world-destroying entities. I respect that.
The Sith spirit of Exar Kun would as well fall into this class, as Luke considered his power to be just as vast as any he had ever encountered.
Damn!
There's some debate over if Exar Kun was more powerful as a living being or as a Sith spirit, which would change the scaling chain entirely. In fact, it would flip it on its head, with the writer of Exar's comic appearances allegedly stating this spirit...
Oh my god, I hate statements like this that ruin everything. I hope you're having a nice holiday. I was wondering if you could tell me whether or not Exar Kun was more powerful when he was alive or after when he became a spirit. Thank you for your time. Happy holidays. More powerful than when he was alive, smiley face. And it's like, well, you just ruined all the power scaling because of one email reply. God damn it. God damn it. Can you imagine if this was a fake email? Someone just makes a fake email, literally flips the power scaling on its head. God, I hate author statements.
That Luke comments on is actually weaker than he was in life. However, he could be referring to the spirit Exar that he wrote, which would be a suppressed being compared to that in his novel appearances. That being someone who had drained various Jedi students until reaching his height of power. But no matter which version you consider, this would be your hypothetical peak Exar would scale to.
Alright, I respect that though.
Relative to Dark Empire Sidious. This is as well an alternate placement for Sith Malak and Revan if you consider the statement made regarding a set of miniatures released around 2008.
Oh my god, this is deep lore. A set of miniatures? That's where you're getting power scaling lore? Oh my god.
Which states that Revan sits along Sidious and Darth Caedus as the most powerful Sith Lords in history. However, this statement contradicts a fair amount of the verse, such as...
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't sit here and look at a figurine drop hype comment as an actual lore statement.
The fact that in Knights of the Old Republic itself,
he was that strong for his time. Just like Darth Sidious is an overpowered bitch for his time, Revan was an overpowered bitch for his time. But that doesn't mean Luke wouldn't stomp him. You know, I don't know. I don't think that's a fair statement at all.
Malak states that Jedi Revan is stronger than he was as a Sith Lord, with Malak still considering himself superior to Revan.
Look at this guy, thinking he's superior to Revan. You know why he's wearing this whole brace shit? It's because Revan sliced half his face off, okay? Sit down, brother. You're waffling.
even being downright baffled at his loss. So based on this alone, Malak should be among these most powerful Sith Lords in history, but he's absent from the set. This minifigure set also features Sidious in his original trilogy design, alongside Imperial officers who were shown killed in Empire Strikes Back, contradicting the numerous statements of Sidious's peak being in Dark Empire. The statement mostly seems like marketing hype to...
Absolutely. You cannot take figurine logos and figurine descriptions as some sort of legitimate power. Come on, dude. Come on, man.
Get you to buy some mini...
This is why I have such a hard time with power scaling in general. Like, some people take any statement said by anyone as, like, absolute fact. I'm not blaming Seth for doing this. He's covering his bases for this video, and I respect that. But, like, dude, you'll have some people that are like, oh, yeah, well, I emailed some guy that works with Dragon Ball, and I asked him if Goku is actually stronger than Azathoth from Lovecraft mythos. And he said he is, so that's a statement, and fuck you.
Figures, but taking this at face value and ignoring the contradictions, Revan would be at least around Sidious tier, possibly even higher if you think Revan is stronger than Exar Kun.
Listen, I like Revan better as a character than Sidious, but ain't no way, bro.
And you take the writer's statement of Exar being stronger in life than his spirit to its maximum interpretation, which would actually make Revan stronger than Sidious and Valkorion, which
makes no sense, because Valkorion kicked his ass.
Gets a little bit awkward in debates, but is possible.
Alright, sure.
Class S,
There's another one?! There's someone above these guys?!
Strongest Sith Lords of all time. Most people generally agree with this.
Wait, a woman? A woman is a strong Sith Lord? Someone get Disney on the line. There are overpowered women in Star Wars.
Although it's Star Wars, so there's always debate to be made. The justification for the placements in this class are they're scaling to basically Luke Skywalker when he's the Grand Master of the Jedi after Sidious is defeated, who was able to, decades prior, while amped by Leia, overpower peak Sidious in Dark Empire. He is then later on stated to be stronger than ever before, including his amped self, which beat Sidious.
Oh god, wait, no, just random antagonists to Luke somehow get to become Class S Sith Lords.
To start with, we have Darish Vol, who is stated to have much the power of Luke. Hard to exactly place, he would at least be at the bottom of this class. We then have the Dark Lady Lumaya, who during the Legacy of the Force era was able to mortally harm Luke with her light whip, even briefly
Light whip? That's a thing?
physically stalemating the bloodlusted Grandmaster. Darth Caedus, who is basically Legends Kylo Ren, puts up a much better fight against an enraged Grandmaster Luke than Lumaya.
Bro, I have to do a full lore look at the whole Legends timeline. Dude, there is so much Star Wars. There is so much Star Wars. And every time I'm baffled by just the sheer amount of Star Wars lore there is, I'm reminded. I sit down and I am reminded at what Disney is doing to this beloved franchise.
Darth Krayt, Luke's dark side match, who was able to fight relative to Skywalker against Abeloth, being able to puncture her body, even resisting her force blast. Caedus could be argued above this, however, seeing as Jacen Solo was stated to be the most powerful Sith in the galaxy.
What? Jacen Solo?
With Darth Krayt technically being in the galaxy at the time, albeit in stasis. And finally, Sarasu Talon, a member of the Lost Tribe of the Sith, who, after exposing himself to one half of Abeloth's power source, Abeloth being the mother of the Force, was able to blitz and telekinetically manipulate a prime Luke Skywalker.
Okay, that's broken as shit. You have to look up Abeloth. She's insane. Abeloth. All right, she sounds insane, honestly. Don't put your dick in crazy, I guess. Especially, what the? All right, she's ancient, powerful, dangerous, very dangerous, but you're onto her now. She is never what she appears, remember that. Abeloth, all right, self-styled as the beloved Queen of the Stars, also known as the bringer of Chaos Destructor, was an extremely powerful Force entity. Her dark side powers and immortality derived from her being corrupted by drinking the font of power and bathing in the pool of knowledge. Oh, get yourself a woman that bathes. Am I right, fam? Am I right, chat? Okay, this is getting wild. She first lived as a servant of a mortal woman who served the powerful ones on a jungle planet over 100 years in the Battle of Yavin. She eventually became the mother, keeping the peace between the father's warring son and daughter as part of the family. She grew old while the father and children are not to lose her. They found the power drag for the power of knowledge. When the father Okay, she was a Force entity, and she was very broken. And when we cover all the different entities in Star Wars, we will get into that, okay? We're not there now, okay? This is Sith. No tangents, okay? This is how we're gonna do this, bro. Abeloth is a Cthulhu-level threat. Is that actually true? Like, there are actual Cthulhu-level entities in Star Wars lore? Does it actually get that high? Abeloth. Damn. Tier at least 4A, likely higher. Okay, that's not Lovecraft level. But, okay, all right. Well, we'll have to get into this. I don't know. Why is chat saying wood? All right, I see she has a big jaw, but, like, come on, guys. What them tentacles do? Bro, get out of here!
With that out of the way, I hope you guys enjoyed. This video was written by my good pal Crisis, who I'll link down in the description.
Hell yeah. All right, well, anywho, this was a really good video. I'm not gonna lie. I do like Seth programming, power scaling videos. Bro actually does cover shit very, very well. But anywho, this was the Ranking All the Sith lore dive, all right? We are learning more. We are absorbing all the Star Wars lore sooner or later. I'm not promising it'll all happen today or tomorrow, but we'll get there. Thank you all so much for joining me. Let me know future Star Wars stuff you want me to do. I know that a lot of people wanted me to do Force Awakens, like all cinematics or some greater lore video. I will cover all the lore. I like me some stories, so keep your eye out for that. Keep your eye out for Clone Wars. And, stay weird, fam. If you made it to the end, click one of these 2 videos, which also will definitely get me canceled. See you live on camp. Stay weird, fam.